This is a one-speaker meeting. Please welcome our speaker tonight, Jeff J.
That's right. Hi, Jeff Alcoholic.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi, can you hear me okay with this? Way down here? All right. Thank you, Dave, for asking me to come and speak. Dave and I attend another meeting together regularly. And it's funny, when I walked to the room, I knew Mickey when I first came in, and Mickey said, "You aren't well yet, are you?" No fear of that. But I have a lot of history in this room. When I first started to get sober, it was in this room, and I'm a chronic relapser. I was a chronic relapser, and kept going in and out, in and out, in and out. And I eventually found out why, and I eventually got it. But a lot of stuff here. Well, I'll get to that. I love this program. I mean, I got to tell you, recovery and AA and the steps, well, the steps are recovery, are the center of my life. They really are. And I have an amazing life. I mean, I have an amazing life. I am like the most grateful guy I know. And it's unbelievable to me. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that everything that you guys said actually turned out to be true, and I tested most of it. And my main goal today, and I'm not being hyperbolic here, and I'm not trying to like say anything for effect. This is the truth. My main goal is my life is so good, I just try and stay out of the way, because the main thing that will fuck it up is me. There's not a situation on earth that's good enough where I can't screw it up really well. And the interesting irony for me, I manage people's careers for a living. It's what I do. So I manage people's lives. I am not capable of managing my own, but I manage theirs. And I have like this duality. It's kind of like, I think when I walked in tonight and Mickey's asking if I'm well, it's like I have to like dress up and be this businessman and sound intelligent and confident and taking care of things and very paternalistic during the day. But what I really am, in addition to all that, is I'm an alcoholic. It's like, it's what I am. It's my core, and I'm grateful for that. I'm shocked that those words are even coming out of my mouth, but it's the truth. So my last year of using, all the stuff that came before, I'm sure you guys relate to. I mean, this is a sick room. I'm looking around. I drove through here tonight, and I saw all those drunks on the sidewalk. I'm like, I'm home. This is good. Yeah. I walked in here. I see some really sick people. I'm like, I feel comfortable. I'm with my people. Thank God. Literally. So, you know, I grew up feeling less than, apart from. I was a short, Jewish, non-athletic loner. I missed that class in life, whatever it was, that people, like, learned how to do shit. I was not present for that. I had people convinced I was really smart. I had skipped a lot of grades, so it was like my entire life was kids in my grade were 3 and 4 years older. Kids my age were 3 and 4 years back. All my adult figures were out of the house. My parents were divorced. My dad was gone. My older brothers were gone. You know, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. I was 30, let alone 8. So my flash forward. You know, I stumbled my way through life, getting like 2 steps forward, 15 steps back. I had a lot of really great opportunities, which I squandered and blew up in really great pyrotechnic fashion. And then I ended up having a really good career in the music business, which I torpedoed out, like in great style. No half measures. My last year of using was like this. I would wake up at about 5 in the morning, complete heroin withdrawal. I would try and pound cottons enough to get well so I could get to the methadone clinic. I'd get to the methadone clinic, and I would have to make it through the cops outside to get to work, where I was an executive in the record business, living this complete dual life. And by 1 o'clock, I would be sick again, and I'd have to go in the bathroom and get well. And I'd try and pound a couple drinks at lunch if I could, and, you know, take whatever pills I could get. And by 5 p.m., sick again, over to Javier's house. where, we would do that little dance, where he makes fun of you and dangles it and holds it out, and you act like a trained monkey and you do what you got to do. And wow, that's a really great Velvet Elvis painting, Javier. Where'd you get that? That's awesome. And then I would go home and proceed to stay. I would get a quart of brandy, and I had my dope, and I would order some pizza, and I'd smoke myself into a nice nod. And then the next morning, I'd start all over again. I signed my check over to Javier. He would give me $100 or $200 to live on for the next 2 weeks. Literally. My house was being foreclosed. I had an art collection. I had cars. I had bikes. I had stuff. I had watches, all past tense. My power was disconnected. The phone was disconnected. I had a power cord run to the next door neighbor's patio because there was an outlet there. And I had a space heater, a lamp, and my television. Right, exactly. I knew I was in the right room. I weighed 425 pounds also. I'd been fat my whole life since I was about 8. And as a result, I really couldn't find any veins. And also, the cops always checked your arms when you went out of the methadone clinic, but they didn't check your legs. So I shot up in my legs. And I shot up a lot in my legs, and I missed a lot in my legs. And so I had tons of abscesses in my legs. And to the point where I had literally dozens of abscesses that all joined together in one huge abscess. So I was walking around with a 100, 101 degree fever all the time, constantly infected, taking antibiotics 24/7. I kept a towel wrapped around the leg. I'd have to change it a couple times a day. This is my life, you know what I mean? It's like, and yeah, I don't have a problem. Everything's cool. Little blood spurts up the wall from cleaning out bad syringes and empty pill bottles and tons of empty E&J. I finally got to E&J brandy because it was the cheapest. And I ended up in the hospital. I'll just try. I really want to focus on recovery, so I'm trying to make this short, just so you know that I qualify. Got it. All right. In the hospital, I'm out of it. They find my family. They say, we got to amputate his leg. He's got cellulitis. He's definitely going to die if we don't. He might still die if we do, but he's not mentally competent to authorize it. You got to sign for it, which they did. Into surgery to amputate my leg. And once again, this sounds very melodramatic. It's just what happened. The anesthesiologist refused to put me under because my opiate tolerance level is way too high. So they said, you got to take him out of surgery, detox him for 7-10 days, then we'll amputate the leg. We'll go from there. So back to detox, 7 to 10 days, out of it, back into surgery. I happened to get the same surgeon. He happened to notice some tissue growth on my leg. He said, let's try reconstructive surgery first, see if it takes. They did. It did. Then back into surgery for a skin graft, then back into surgery for another skin graft, then 6 weeks in detox. And then waking up in the hospital with nothing in my system. No alcohol, no Valium, no cocaine, no heroin, no chloral hydrate, no Versed, no nothing. It was amazing. It was amazing. I was like shocked. It had been so many years since I didn't have a mind-altering substance in my body, or I couldn't smell alcohol coming out of my pores. And it felt unbelievable. But it was like I felt so fragile. It felt like this little twig that was going to snap. And I kept this blanket wrapped around me. I would avoid windows. I didn't want to be like hit by sunlight or wind or anything. I just, you know that feeling? Like totally fragile. And you know, I was in those cute blue pajamas in detox, and they would take us in the lounge, and they had the steps and the traditions on the wall. And I was raised, my whole family are completely, and I mean this to the core of what I'm saying, they are proactive atheist Jews. I have a really good relationship with my family, and I have a great relationship with my dad, whom I didn't talk to for my first 2 years of sobriety. And we have lunch every week. Matter of fact, we're having lunch tomorrow. Thursday is our standing lunch day for my brother and my dad and I. And to this day, every fourth or fifth lunch, he'll bring a little pamphlet on secular humanism or rational recovery. Like, it offends him that I talk about spiritual principles and I talk about God. It's like they don't get it. It's like, they ask, don't you get it? They brought me a copy of Emerson's Self-Reliance in Detox. True story. I still have it. That's just my family. So I'm sitting there in the cute blue pajamas in Detox. I'm reading the steps. I'm like, all right, admitted I was powerless over alcohol, that my life had become unmanageable. Yeah. Cool. Good. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves. Oh, fuck, I know where this is going. I know where this is going. Go to step 3, right? Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over the care of good. Like, I'm fucked. Reading step 3 for the first time was one of the most hopeless feelings I had, because for a second there, I thought I could stay sober. And as soon as I read that, I knew it was bullshit. And I knew this was a cult, and I knew a lot of things, you know what I mean? I find that the most calamitous sentences from the guys I sponsor start with, I thought or I figured. The second that's out of their mouth, I know we're headed south. Well, I figured. It's like, oh, no. So I figured this ain't going to work. It's for those guys that did their homework and showed up and were present for that class that I referred to earlier. But, the one thing that was really cool was AA brought these panels in there, and these guys would come in, and you know how we have like that alcoholic radar? Where you could walk into like a bar and you're looking for who's holding, and you just go, her. These guys would come in, and it was like, okay, him. Right? Obviously alcoholics, but they would share their experience, strength, and hope, and they were actually genuinely interested in me. They were interested in what I had to say. They were interested just in how I was doing. Not for the bindle I had in my pocket or what kind of concert tickets I could get them. Just wanted to kind of reach out and be of service, and that really impacted me, It was like I had no comeback for that. And I had never really experienced that. And it was that bonding, it was that, empathy. Yes. And it encouraged me, And I thought, all right. And I found out a lot of stuff about myself, but some of the earliest stuff I found out I'm a real people pleaser. It's like I really want to fit in. I want to be accepted. I want people to like me. I feel less than. I feel like I'm not good enough. I feel like I'm not going to fit in. I feel like all eyes are on me. This is all that self-centered fear stuff because everything revolves around me. When in fact nobody really cares except me. My response to that, my mechanism for dealing with that is to distance you even further by being condescending or arrogant or standoffish or too cool for school, or maybe I'll draw away from you before you have a chance to draw away from me. Then I feel like I have some control. And I kept I think this is a good segue. I kept a loaded gun by my bed that last year, a loaded .357, so I could kill myself as soon as shit got too bad. Because I knew that I was going to die. And once again, everything I'm saying here is just my opinion. There are no authorities in Alcoholics Anonymous. If there were, I would never be one. I'm just an alcoholic. It's my deal. I believe that I learned a lot about spiritual principles, because we talk a lot about spiritual principles in this program. My sponsor drilled it into me. He said to me one day, he said, he goes, do you intend to do all 12 steps of this program? I was like, yeah, Raymond, I do. It's like, okay. So you intend to do step 12, right? I was like, oh, yeah, I'm going to be of service. And he goes, well, that part where it says practice these principles in all our affairs? I go, yeah. He goes, think it might be a good idea to know what the fuck they are? So you could practice them? Inescapable logic. It's like... So I really studied a lot about these spiritual principles so that I could then practice them in my life. Because the studying, I got to tell you, the studying didn't do shit. I'm really good at intellectualizing stuff. The studying did nothing. All it did was make me eligible to take action. Right? Once I took action, everything changed. I don't know why that works. I heard him say a lot, all the old-timers, you can always act your way into right thinking. You can't think your way into right acting. Totally true. I have no idea why. And then my sponsor kindly pointed out to me, Jeff, there is no chapter in the book called Why It Works. Don't worry about it. It's how it works, and here's how you do it. So I learned about some of these spiritual principles, in my opinion, when I was out there drinking. I learned all about willingness. I never hit something that I was not willing to do to get well. Although I'd play those little mind games with myself, like, well, God, if I had to prostitute myself and go down on some guy, what would I do? You know? And if I had to cut off a finger, I guess I could be a left pinky because I'm right-handed. And, I just never hit that thing, whatever it was. I learned all about one day at a time. I learned about one moment at a time. I mean, I knew intellectually, being addicted to opiates as well as alcohol and cocaine and all that other stuff, that I was going to be in heroin withdrawal 6 to 7 hours after injecting it. And I had no money and nothing to pawn, and Javier was looking for me with a shotgun. Yet, if I had the stuff, I'm all good. I'm all good, because I have it now. I'm right here. It was really easy, right? Very difficult for me in recovery, but really easy when I was getting loaded. And I learned about acceptance. I accepted the fact that I was an alcoholic. I didn't know that there was a disease called alcoholism. I didn't know that's what it was. I just thought I'm a loser guy. I'm going to die this way. I can't go through detox another time. I can't do it. I just can't do this. Whatever this thing in life, I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't want to do it. And I just want to maintain until I can't, and then I got the gun and I can off myself. And that gave me a feeling of control. There, good segue, right?
That's exactly right.
I had control, because I was only going to have to be in as much pain as I was willing to suffer. I wouldn't only have to go through as much detox as I wanted to go through. Javier had no control over me. My job, if they fired me and I couldn't get the paycheck to give to Javier and then couldn't get the dope and couldn't get well and couldn't get enough brandy, I could kill myself. And that gave me a feeling of comfort, because then I had some control. And that's how I lived. So flashback to Twig Boy with my blanket, and I'm going to meetings, and it's like I'm starting to see the same thing at meetings that I saw in those panels, which is that these guys are really kind of just interested in me as a fellow alcoholic, not what I can do for them. And it was very attractive. And I heard a lot of people say, fake it till you make it, or just act as if. And, you know, one thing I learned through doing was that it's like, and I find this with sponsees a lot, it's like they think, well, I can't do step 3, I'm not at this place. And it's like, you're not really at the place before you do the step. It's like by the result of doing the step is you're at the place, right? It's kind of bad, you know. I tend to approach things backwards. My whole life was about trying to think my way into right acting. It just didn't work. But I started going to meetings. I wanted to be a part of. These guys started accepting me. I started hanging out with people after the meetings. I got this great sponsor, Joey, in this room, and I got 30 days sober, and it was awesome, right? And then I got 60 days sober, and I was like, me. Loser, dope fiend, fat Jew, puke. I got 60 days sober. And then I got 90 days sober, and it was unbelievable. It was like a quarter of a cake. And then 93 days, Wednesday came. And I woke up Wednesday, and I wanted to get loaded. I wanted a drink, and then I wanted a speedball. Really bad. And I went into what I call copping mode, where it's like you go into that mode and just, you're in it, and if there's a brick wall between you and the dope, it's coming down. It's not a discussion. It will go down. And I called my friend Ira, and I was like, dude, what do I do? It's like, oh my God, I want to get loaded so bad. And he's like, well, we should go to a meeting. Right, meeting, good, okay, let's go to a meeting. And we went to the noon meeting over on Beverly Glen, and it's like, and the speaker was speaking about using, and I'm getting that cold coping mode sweat, and then I'm sharing about how I feel, and I feel a little better, but I still got the cold sweat. And then after the meeting, you know, guys came up to me and they're like, it's going to be okay, come hang out with us, we're going to go to lunch. I'm like, cool. And I felt better, and then I got loaded. You know, and I'm making deals with myself the whole way. I'm going to have a speedball. It requires cocaine, heroin, and a syringe, and a bottle of brandy. That's what I require. Right. No half measures. So, and negotiating with myself the whole way. Well, if I can't get the rig, what's the point of storing this stuff? It's such a waste. But if I only get the coke, I'm going to be jacked up, and there's not going to be enough brandy, so I'm not going to do that. If I can't get all 4, I am not going out. 12 minutes later, after I found all 4, I got loaded. It's that willingness thing again. It's that spiritual principle of willingness. And I shot up right into where I'd had the surgery in my leg. And you would think, right, I'm not a dumb guy. As I'm preparing the syringe, looking at my freshly gauzed leg and going in there, this is not right. Something wrong with this. I shouldn't be doing this plunge. That is powerlessness. So in and out, in and out, in and out. Oh, gee, I got loaded. I feel so bummed. Here, okay, I'll take a newcomer chip. Thanks, it's great. Yeah, okay, cool. Back out, back in, back out, back in. I can only tell this story very briefly, but basically the Rolling Stones were coming to town. And I left my mark upon West Side AA. People asked me to get them tickets. I said, yes, I would. I said, give me the money. When the tickets go on sale, you'll get them. I knew you guys were sick. And if you're relating to any of this, you're really sick. So I took the money. I waited for the tickets to go on sale. I got loaded. I went through all my money. I went through all their money. Now I have an oil burner habit back. I'm swigging liquor left and right. I'm shooting speedballs. I'm going to meetings. I'm taking chips. I'm sharing. Because now these guys have accepted me. Now I'm like one of them. I'm cool. I can't let them know I went out. I want to disappoint them. Plus, I don't know how I'm going to get their $2,889 back to them. So I went over to Office Supplies Unlimited over here in Pico, and I bought a whole book of vouchers and a paid stamp. And I made out all these vouchers for tickets, 18 of them, and gave them out to the guys. Here you go. Just take this to Will Call at the Coliseum. And look, dude, I got you second row. Once again, it's just what happened, man. And my sponsor, Joey, I said, here's a free voucher for you, because I know you love the Stones. Yeah. Back in the hospital, back in detox, and this guy, the guy who ran the recovery unit, was sitting on the end of my bed, just shaking his head and looking at me and smiling. I'm like, what? He's like, haven't you had enough? I was like, yeah, John, I really want to be sober. And he said, you know, you got to go to Impact, which is, yeah, exactly. They had suggested that to me when I first got clean. And so my sponsor came to see me, Joey, and he said, Jeff, when you asked me to sponsor you, I asked you if you were willing to go to any lengths, and you said you were. I said, I am. I said, and when you asked me to sponsor you, I asked you if you were willing to follow direction, and you said you were. I said, I'm totally willing. He said, fine, go to Impact. I'm like, no. I heard about Impact. They shave your head, and they make you wear a toilet seat around your neck, and you have to dig your own grave with a spoon, and there's hardcore guys like him, and, you know, I'm like the Jewish record executive from the Valley. Certainly smarter than that. So John, the clinician, was explaining to me about Impact, and he said, look, it's a 6 to 9 month program. There's 4 phases. I don't know why you're telling me this, but he goes, just humor me. Okay. He said, the first phase is 60 to 90 days, right? When you're there, you can't touch any money. There's no phone calls. There's no visitors. You can't touch an appliance. You have to take direction. You have a dad who leads you around. He's like, then you get in your 4th step. You get a sponsor. Then you get to 2nd phase. And then you can make phone calls, and you go on 12-hour passes. I go, hold on a second. Let's go back to first phase for a minute. So first phase, no visitors, no phone calls. He's like, right. I said, okay, I'll go. I'll go. I'll go, because I had those vouchers out there. And that is the reason I went to Impact. And that is the only reason. Well, 2 reasons. I went there so I wouldn't have to deal with voucher fallout. And I thought somehow vainly that my family would see how hard I'm trying and what a good guy I'm being, and they would give me checks and give me money. They never had in the past, but it was one of those, like, Hail Marys. It was mostly the voucher thing. So I got to Impact, and I can tell you I have not had a drink or a drug since the day I got to Impact, which is not about Impact per se, but Impact introduced me to the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, because I didn't understand the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And what happened was, the first thing that I figured out, the first thing that was presented to me, is they said, they don't do this anymore in the book. In the new printing of the big book, they don't have that triangle, the Unity Service Recovery thing, right? But there's this triangle symbol of AA the three sides, which stand for unity, service, recovery, right? Unity, service, recovery. So unity being the meetings, right? And that's where we go because newcomers are there, so we can be of service. And we check in with other people about how they're working their program, and we fellowship, and we hang out with our alcoholics, and we feel good, and we feel at home, and it acts as kind of a grounding for us. That's unity, right? Then there's service, which is like having, like what Dave is doing here at this meeting, what Mickey does, people that pick up cigarette butts, whatever, sponsoring, working on committees. What you guys are doing right now is unity, right? What I'm doing right now is service. What none of us are doing is recovery. This ain't recovery. This is unity, service. The recovery is the 12 steps. That's the shit that's in the book. That's the shit I didn't do. I thought, all right, I'll go to a lot of meetings. I'll hang out with all these people, and somehow I will absorb their programs. I will stay sober watching them work their program. Doesn't work. And actually, in this room, I used to go to this meeting all the time, and I would watch these same guys that went to the same meetings every week. They were there, and every 4 or 5 weeks, they'd be taking newcomer chips. And then they would get 4 or 5 weeks clean and sober again, and then they'd take newcomer chips again, but they were always at the meeting, which told me for sure that going to the meetings regularly does not keep you sober. Because if it did, they wouldn't be taking newcomer chips because they were always here. And that's what I did. I went to a lot of meetings, I hung out with people in the program, waiting to somehow magically absorb their recovery, and I didn't work the steps. The other thing I didn't do is I didn't really surrender, right? There's this whole spiritual principle of surrender. Actually, there's this guy, Harry Tiebout, that wrote a whole paper called Compliance versus Surrender. See, I got really good at complying so I could get my candy, but I wasn't good at surrendering. However, at Impact, I was put in a position where I really surrendered. I really didn't have a choice. This guy, Louis, who took me in, and I remember Louis because he had Louis tattooed on the side of his neck. And Louis had 18 years sober, and his first 10 years sober were inside Folsom. And he's mad dogging me, and here I am like the record executive Jew. Like, what am I going to tell Louis? What game can I possibly run down on Louis? I had no comeback. I had nothing. I just shut up. I shut up, and I was scared shitless, and I just kind of surrendered. I was like, all right, go. And then that's what happened. As soon as I surrendered and I just kind of gave myself over to them, then the magic started, right? Then I could actually start to work the steps. I could actually start to have that spiritual awakening they talk about in the book, and it happened. Dude, it happened. I mean, I still can't believe it some days. It totally happened. And every guy that I ever sponsored, it's happened. It's like it keeps working. That's why I love working with newcomers, because I watch the light come on in their eyes, and I'm like, shit, this stuff still works. It's not luck and serendipity, because sometimes my alcoholism will tell me that. Well, you know, it's this or that, or you just happen to blah, 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 insert diseased blank here. But it's the steps, man. It really is. That was the difference. And as soon as I gave myself over to that and actually started doing it, shit started happening. And I got kicked out of Impact after 100 days, wound up on the street. I had nothing. I'd lost everything. And that's when I would start to come to this meeting. And at Impact, they kind of taught me how to reach out. So I would sit like right around there, and I would stand up and share and say, listen, I have 4 months sober. I don't have a place to live. I don't have a place to stay. I have no money for food. I need a floor to sleep on, and hopefully some of you are going to lunch after the meeting, and you could feed me. And I did that, like for almost a year. And then I found a guy, Jim Holden, in this meeting, and Jim was getting out of treatment. He was getting an apartment. He said, you know what, I'll get a 2-bedroom apartment. You can have one and pay me back when you get a job. I was like, all right. And I got a job at another meeting selling computer ribbons over the phone for $150 a week, and then I got a job for $250 a week at the Culver City News over here, taking lost poodle ads, and it was great, you know? And I made a decision to leave the music business. I made a decision to make a commitment to recovery, and I made a decision to just kind of do what was in front of me and take direction and stop planning my life. And once I did that, well, I can tell you today, I'm in the music business. I have a dream job. I actually literally have a job that I dreamt about as a kid, and I literally have clients that I dreamt about by name as a kid. Although they were stupid fantasies, because that would never happen. Although, here I am, and it's happened, and it's been happening, and it's awesome. That's like in the beginning where I said I just need to stay out of the way. This great shit's happening. I don't want to fuck it up. And I got this life, man. It's like, I don't know. That spiritual awakening happened. I took a year cake. I had a whole host of friends. I had started to make my amends to people. I had to pay all those Rolling Stones guys back $5 and $10 at a time, which I did. Handing out checks to Jerry Dix out here in front, post-dated 2 weeks apart for $10 each. And I took a year cake weighing 425, right? Going, I wonder if my eating is another symptom of my alcoholism. And I wonder if I apply the steps to that, will I get a good result? And so I just made a decision to do that. And I did. And I worked the steps for my compulsive overeating, and I lost 180 pounds within 14 months. And I've been plus or minus, 25 pounds for the last 16 years. And, it was an amazing companion to sobriety for me, because you can't always tell another day sober, but you could tell a pound. They have a measurement device for them. It's called a scale. You just get there, and it goes, beep. It was real good documentary evidence. So today, it's like I have 18 years and 7 months sober. Right? I maintain my abstinence with my overeating. I sponsor 12 guys. I host a step study meeting at my house. I have this amazing career that I'm trying hard not to screw up. And I don't. I do a great job. The best thing I could say is today I would totally be friends with me. I would totally hang out with me, and I would totally have me as a manager. And I could never say that my whole life. And I am the guy I want to be, punctuated by regular moments of impending doom, terror, fear, anger. I don't really get that angry anymore, and I don't get resentful for more than a few minutes at a time, although there's this amazing thing that happens when you work the steps. The steps are tools, right? And the best analogy is, you can read all about these steps, and you can write the steps, and you can work them with your sponsor, and then you have that tool. But it's like, just because you own a great hammer does not construct a house. Like, I own all these great tools at home, but they don't do shit. They just sit in a drawer, but I got them. I got to actually take them out and apply them, and then shit gets built. So once I start applying the steps in my life, stuff's happened. So when those things happen, I went through a thing with my dad where I was really angry at him. I didn't talk to him about 4 months. My brothers were all angry at him. And I was sharing at my meeting, and I said, this is what's going on. And I got this resentment, and I'm like a little dog rolling around in seaweed. I'm just rolling in it. And it's stupid, and I know I have to reach out, and I know I have to clear it because I'm the spiritual one here, and I got to take care of my side of the street. But for right now, I'm enjoying sitting in it. Right? And I'm being a little fucking baby, and I know it, and I'm going to get out of it. And so I sat in it for about 3 or 4 days, and then I called them, and then it was all good, and I just did the stuff, and now it's all fine. That's about as dramatic as it gets, right? And my business is very dramatic. And I have very dramatic managers and artists around me, and all kinds of drama and anger and resentment, and I am able to really just kind of sail through it. It blows my mind. It blows my mind. I mean, I know intrinsically and intellectually why I'm able to do that, because I will take full credit for 18 years and 7 months worth of willingness. That's all I did was the willingness. I did the work, right? But I got that spiritual awakening. I got that gift. And it is a gift, right? And the definition of gift is something you receive that's not earned. That's why they call it gift. So I got that gift. And I continue to apply myself and just do the footwork. And it's a great partnership, it really works. There's this great book called New Pair of Glasses by Chuck C. If any of you get a chance to read it, that book changed my life as far as working step 3 and getting a God in my life. And I'll close with telling you, though, that at 18 and a half years sober, I have no idea what God is. I really don't. I've changed my mind about it 10 or 12 times. I thought it was Jesus for a while. Then I went to temple on the high holidays, and I went, wait a minute, I'm a Jew. What am I doing? And then I thought it was a really cool, some kind of Dalai Lama, Buddhist, New Age, West Side thing. And then I thought it was the vapors. Then I thought it was nature. And now I just realized, you know what? I don't know. I know there's a God. I rely on that power. I pray. I do the footwork. It works. I don't really realize how diesel engines really work. But, if I need something moved by a truck, I just put it in there and it works fine. I don't even have to understand. I just got to do it. So I keep doing it. Life keeps getting better. I wouldn't trade this for anything. And all I wanted to do was just stop putting needles into my abscesses. That was the deal. That's all I wanted. Like, I was a complete loser in every area of life. I thought, well, but this will be fine if I could just stop doing this. But I found a solution that works. You know, I believe there might be 100 different solutions out there. The steps may not be the only solution, but they are a solution, and they totally work. They work perfectly for alcoholics. The only thing I've seen better at treating alcoholism is alcohol. Right? Alcohol treats alcoholism perfectly. The book talks about the sense of ease and comfort that comes at once with the first drink, right? Because the substance is not our problem. It's not my problem. My problem is alcoholism, right? The alcohol was my solution for the problem. And it was a great solution until the solution started killing me. So when we take, I mean, by the way, if alcohol was the problem, then the second we took alcohol out of my body, I would cease to have a problem. But when I took alcohol out of my body is when the problem really began, because it's alcoholism. So I have to find something that treats alcoholism as well as alcohol, and I have. And it's the steps, and it's not just the meetings, it's not just being of service, it's all of it. And it's really fucking easy. I mean, if you consider the alternative, this is the softer, easier way. So that's why I'm here. Thanks.